My dear friends, imagine discovering that the most powerful force capable of breaking generations of suffering in your family is not wealth, not confrontation, not control, but silence. Not the silence of suppression, not the silence of weakness, but a deep, conscious silence, a sacred stillness where karma dissolves and the soul begins to breathe again. What if the arguments repeating in your family, the emotional wounds passed from parents to children, the patterns of anger, misunderstanding, and pain were not accidents? What if they were karmic echoes, traveling through generations, waiting for one awakened soul to finally stop the noise? And what if that soul is you? Stay with me, because what you're about to discover may completely change the way you see your family, your past, and your destiny. But before we begin, take a moment to support this journey. If you resonate with spiritual wisdom and deeper truths about life, subscribe to the channel and become part of our growing inner divine family. Also comment below, I choose peace over karma. When you write it, you are not just typing words, you are planting an intention into the universe. And if this message touches your heart, like the video and share it with someone who might need this wisdom today. Now let us enter the silence together. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a lake at dawn. The surface is still, untouched, reflecting the sky perfectly. But if even a small stone is thrown into it, ripples spread across the entire water. Families work in the same way. Every thought, every emotion, every word spoken within a family creates ripples in the invisible lake of karma. According to the teachings of, families are not random collections of people living together. They are soul groups bound by unfinished karma. People return to one another across lifetimes, not always because of love, but often because of unresolved lessons. A father may carry anger that once belonged to a warrior. A mother may carry silent sorrow from lifetimes of sacrifice. A child may arrive carrying the burden of ancestral fear. And so the cycle continues. Arguments repeat. Misunderstandings echo. Emotional wounds quietly travel from one generation to another like invisible inheritance. But something extraordinary happens when one person in the family becomes conscious. That person stops reacting, stops shouting, stops feeding the storm, and chooses silence instead. Not a cold silence, but a wise silence. You see, karma survives on reaction. Every time anger meets anger, karma grows stronger. Every time blame meets blame, the chain tightens. But silence breaks the rhythm. Imagine two people arguing. One raises their voice. They expect the other person to respond with the same intensity. But suddenly, there is calmness. No retaliation. No emotional explosion. Just quiet awareness. At that moment, something powerful occurs. The karmic script is interrupted. The expected reaction never arrives. The energy collapses. This is why silence has always been a sacred practice among mystics and seekers. Because silence is not emptiness. Silence is conscious power. In silence, the ego loses its grip. In silence, emotions settle like dust after a storm. And in silence, the soul begins to remember its true nature. Many families unknowingly live inside emotional loops. A father reacts the way his father once reacted. A mother worries the way her mother once worried. Children absorb these patterns like silent observers. Without awareness, karma moves forward like a river. But silence is like placing a stone in the river. The current changes. Direction shifts. History begins to transform. Consider a simple moment in everyday life. Someone in the family criticizes you. Your mind immediately prepares a defense. Words rush to your tongue. But instead, you pause. You breathe. You remain silent. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you refuse to continue the cycle. That moment of silence may last only a few seconds. Yet, spiritually, it is monumental. Because karma expected continuation. But consciousness chose transformation. The great spiritual teachers often reminded seekers that true strength is not found in dominance. It is found in inner mastery. And silence is one of the highest forms of mastery. Silence allows you to observe instead of react, to understand instead of attack, to heal instead of repeat. Over time, This silence begins to influence the entire emotional atmosphere of a family. When one person becomes calm, others slowly feel it. Like the still center of a storm. They may resist it at first. They may even try harder to provoke reaction. But eventually, the pattern weakens. And slowly, something beautiful emerges. Peace. Not perfect peace, but moments of peace. Moments where conversations become softer. Moments where understanding replaces judgment. Moments where love quietly returns. Breaking family karma is rarely dramatic. It does not always involve big confrontations or emotional speeches. Often it begins with something simple. One person choosing awareness. One person choosing patience. One person choosing silence. When you refuse to react with anger, you stop feeding the karmic fire. When you refuse to repeat emotional patterns, the chain weakens. And when silence becomes your strength, healing begins to ripple across generations. Sometimes people worry that silence means accepting injustice. But true spiritual silence is not passive. It is intelligent. There are moments when words must be spoken. Truth must be expressed. Boundaries must be set. Yet even those actions become powerful when they emerge from inner stillness rather than emotional chaos. Silence first, wisdom later. This is the rhythm of spiritual maturity. Think about the people in your family for a moment. Each one carries their own invisible story. Their fears, their wounds, their inherited beliefs. Often the anger you see is not truly about you. It is old pain searching for release. When you respond with silence and compassion, you are not just protecting your peace. You are helping dissolve centuries of emotional weight. This is why spiritual awakening within a family is so rare and so powerful, because it requires someone to step outside the script. Someone brave enough to stop repeating what everyone else has repeated for generations. Someone wise enough to realize that peace is stronger than reaction. And someone patient enough to let transformation happen slowly. Perhaps you are that person. Perhaps you are the one who feels different. The one who no longer wants constant conflict. The one who seeks deeper understanding. If that is true, then your silence is not weakness. It is evolution. Every moment you choose awareness over reaction, you reshape the karmic field around you. You become a lighthouse in the emotional ocean of your family. Not forcing change, but quietly guiding it. And one day, without anyone fully realizing how it happened, the atmosphere shifts. Arguments become shorter. Understanding becomes easier. Love returns in small but meaningful ways. That is how karma dissolves. Not through force, but through consciousness. Not through control, but through stillness. Silence is the doorway where the soul steps beyond the past. And once one soul crosses that doorway, others eventually follow. So the next time conflict appears in your family, remember this. You have a choice. You can repeat the past, or you can become the moment where the past finally ends. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do in that moment is simply be silent. If this message resonated with you, write in the comments. Silence is my power. Your words might inspire someone else who is struggling inside their family right now. And if you want to continue exploring deep spiritual wisdom that transforms life and consciousness, subscribe to the channel and join our inner divine community. Your journey of awakening is only beginning. And sometimes, the quietest path leads to the most powerful transformation.